On the heels of another disappointing early season loss, Chelsea and the Clear Lake Bowley Group have opened the wallets once again and signed Wesley Fofana from Leicester. In this video, we're going to be looking at the tactical pros and cons of the signing of Wesley Fofana. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour.
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P, for this special transfer edition of Couch Critic where we look at the signing of Wesley Fofana from Leicester. We will be analyzing the pros and cons of this signing and whether or not this is a good fit for Chelsea going forward. But before we get into all that, ladies and gentlemen, please do me a big favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button to keep up with the latest and the newest. And if you don't know by now, you will now. I do have a sponsor for the show. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Just hit them up. The link will be in the description. Now fam, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm still very much ticked off about the last result we had against Southampton. And you know, the news of signing Wesley Fofana couldn't have come any faster, any sooner, couldn't have been better time, because we are in dire need for some real quality on the pitch. And you know, we're just not deep enough to sustain a title challenge, you know, a type 4 challenge with this current setup of this roster right now. So the signing of Wesley Fofana has filled me with a little bit more elation. I'm feeling a little bit better this morning knowing that, you know, we're able to get this one over the line. And there's reasons for it. There's pros and cons to every signing, and we're going to analyze both of those in the coming minutes. I'm not going to be very long with this because I really do feel like most of you guys are very familiar with his game, but I'm just going to let you know what I think that he's going to bring to the table and where I feel his areas of improvement are going to be required to play for a side as big as Chelsea. Okay, so today Chelsea completed the signing of Wesley Fofana from Leicester for the cool fee of £69.5 million. No add-ons included, and I'm assuming Leicester accepted this deal mainly because they're getting all of the money up front, most of it at least. There's not going to be any installment payments. Chelsea have basically just given them £69.5 million to get this deal completed over the line. And I'm of the belief that this is a great signing for Chelsea, not just for now, but also in the future. For me, Wesley Fofana represents the modern center back, a guy that what you want in a modern center back. Pacey, agile, you know, good on the ball, fearless in the tackle. All of these things are the characteristics of Wesley Fofana. Now, one of the things you'll notice immediately about Wesley Fofana's game is that when he's going into the tackle, he's fearless. He's a guy that just commits himself fully and is very good at winning the ball, winning tackles, just because he's very committed and has great timing and anticipation as well. Throughout his career at Leicester, that hasn't really been that long. We've always seen this guy just pounce in on tackles, you know, fearless, very good at like timing the tackles and winning them as well. And I feel like he's only going to get better at this as he gets older and you know, more mature. His ability to anticipate when to go in and when to, you know, sit back and when to essentially just snap in on a challenge is going to get better and better. Of course, he has the tutelage of Thiago Silva and Koulibaly to depend on, and as well as Azpilicueta, who's always very good at getting touch tight to men in his prompt. And you know, he will teach Wesley Fofana the art of using his athletic tools, his physical tools, to a devastating effect. I mean, Azpilicueta, as a right-sided center back, had to learn how to adapt his game. He was very much a right back, left back under Jose Mourinho, and the strength of his games then were basically getting touch tight to man and anticipating when to go in for the challenge. I feel like there's a similarity in terms of what we see in Azpilicueta as a right-sided center back to what we see from Wesley Fofana, but it goes further than that for me. I feel like Wesley Fofana is very good in possession. He's very composed on the ball. He's a guy that when he is in possession is not looking to play Hollywood passes all over the pitch. He's looking to like recycle possession, which is fits with the mold of this team right now, and he's a guy that never really usually gives it away. And on the odd occasion that he does, he has the physical ability to make up for his mistakes. Now, in the games that I chose to analyze Wesley Fofana, I noticed that when he's in possession and Leicester are pressing up the pitch and the pitch gets a little bit more condensed, the passing angles aren't quite as plentiful as if you're playing out from the back. I noticed that he is not necessarily the type of guy that's going to be picking that razor sharp pass. I mean, he's a good passer, but more so a safe passer than he is a guy that's going to be creating, a through ball pass to break the lines and get somebody in behind. I think he's a little bit less inclined to make those types of passes. And when he has attempted them, they haven't always been met with the most sort of accuracy to get the offensive player into great positions and whatnot. So I think for the next little while, what we're going to be seeing from Wesley Fofana in a Chelsea shirt is he's just going to be a little safer. He's going to be a guy that, you can trust in possession of the football. But in terms of releasing attackers and getting guys in behind, I don't think that we're going to be using him in that respect. His long-range passing, again, not exactly amazing. I wouldn't say that he is an incredible long-range passer. He's capable. He understands where the spaces are and whatnot, but I don't know if his long-range passes are on point to the point where he's going to be able to make direct passes that get right into the teeth of the defense. So I really do think at this stage in the career, what we're going to be relying on from Wesley Fofana in terms of passes is a little bit more safety and a guy that will pick the right passes at the right time rather than trying to be like a Hollywood passer. Under Rodgers, he hasn't really been licensed to get forward the same way somebody like Koundé had at Sevilla. Koundé would have been better at advancing the ball into the final third, whereas Wesley Fofana doesn't necessarily look to make those types of runs or hasn't been assigned to do that. Not that he's not capable, but I don't know if he has the natural instincts to get forward into the final third and be influential there. But again, like I said, he's very, very good in possession, likes to keep it on the ground, keeps it simple in his passes, and when he's pressed, it's very hard to get an angle on the guy. He's very much press resistant, moves it quickly, has pace, power, and of course has the ball technique to dribble his way out of trouble. Now, his composure is something that I revere. I really do love watching Wesley Fofana on the ball. He's very composed, very calm, picks the right passes at all times, and when he's pressed, he's pretty much ideally press resistant because he's not only good as a dribbler, but he's also good at advancing the ball. And when he gets in situations where you feel like he might be under trouble, he's very, very good at dribbling. He doesn't usually look to dribble out of danger a lot, but when he is in danger and has no other choice but to dribble, his composure and his overall technique come to the fore, and you see the quality on the ball. Now, if you look at his frame, he's about 6'3" and a little wiry when you look at him. He hasn't really filled out as you would like to see him do going forward. But at the same time, he is a very combative center back, and in the air he's actually really good as well. Hasn't really scored a lot of goals there, which is something that he's going to have to work on, getting his timing right, and not taking the approach where he's leaping off of one foot off balance to try and win it. Because although he is 6'3" and can win a lot of aerial duels just on the sheer fact that he's tall, he really needs to balance himself and go up with the intent of we're not only winning the aerial duel, but playing it into the path of a teammate when we're in, defensive situations rather than just getting ahead on it and, hoping that it goes somewhere. I do think, again, that he has a good anticipation. He gets up quite well and meets the ball quite well. It's just whether or not there's enough power on it for it to be an effective header is the only thing that I think that he needs to work on. And again, that just comes down to just spending a little bit more time in the gym. I do think that he does have the anticipation, and I think that he does have the willingness to go and win those headers. But whether or not the power is there right now, is still something to be desired. Now, Fofana is, for me, very technically fluid. He's a guy that can play in a back three or a back four and do it at a very, very high rate. He understands where his positioning is in both scenarios. And in this particular Chelsea setup where we are playing a hybrid, back three, back four, I think that he can be, utilized to flourish in those roles in the wide right positions. Whether or not he is going to be, relied upon heavily to be in a back four remains to be seen. I'm of the opinion that Chelsea should be setting up their base as a back three with Fofana, Silva, and Koulibaly. Allow Reece James and Cucurella to do the attacking down the flanks, and just build like that. But again, if we do decide to go back four, I think that he does have the awareness and make up speed. I don't expect that to be any different at Chelsea. I do expect him to be a little bit more safe in possession, and I do expect him to be covered better with the likes of Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, and Reece James flanking him as well. So you know, this is a good signing for Chelsea. This is a guy that I really do believe will only flourish under the tutelage of Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, you know, Azpilicueta, as I said before. If you can have those three very, you know, astute, you know, world-class defenders teaching somebody as young as Wesley Fofana, who has all the natural skills already, and then also has the awareness and anticipation skills that he brings to the fore. I really do think that in the next 2 to 3 years, you know, he can take the next step in his evolution and become like a world-class center back. You know, it's like a finishing school he's come to right now. You know, all the raw materials are there, and now, you know, under the tutelage of Thiago Silva, Tuchel, you know, Koulibaly, Azpilicueta, he's got Reece James in support, Cucurella, you know, Chilwell. You know, he's going to be able to, you know, have this ability to learn from the best, and hopefully he's a sponge and is able to take on the instructions and learn quickly, because, you know, the one thing that you can't account for in Chelsea versus Leicester is you can't have any passengers in that back line, especially with the way our midfield is playing right now. So you definitely have to have your head on a swivel. You're definitely going to have to be really composed and, you know, make intelligent passes. And you're definitely going to have an awareness of where the trouble is and snuff it out. And, you know, he'll learn that stuff, hopefully, if he takes it on and he has the notion that he wants to learn. If he comes here and he's, you know, obviously $69.5 million means you are a finished product, you know, or at least that's the impression. I don't think that he is. I think that he has a lot to learn on the job, and most of it comes from just, you know, knowing when to make situations happen, knowing when to go, when to sit, you know, knowing when to cover for Thiago Silva when he's bringing the ball out in possession. All of these things just come down to being more experienced in their position, and, you know, he has the opportunity to learn from the best, and I hope he takes it. But I do think I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Real short video once again. I'm getting in the habit of doing this right now. I'm really excited about this Wesley Fofana signing. I really do think that going forward, you know, he represents what the modern day center back is supposed to look like in the Premier League. You know, he does need to get a little bit stronger. You know, we are going to be, you know, contested in the air a lot, and from the looks of it, I really don't think that we have any real commanding presences in defense in terms of like winning aerial duels. Obviously, Thiago Silva uses his experience. I don't really see Koulibaly as a guy that just leaps out of the gym in order to get his head on the ball. But, you know, again, Fofana has the makings of that sort of like center back where, you know, his stature 6'3", doesn't really get lost in crowded places and whatnot. So, you know, he will have the ability to use his, you know, his command of the area and his physical stature to make a difference in that end of the pitch. And, you know, it's a good signing, man, and more to come. Let's hope, man. Like I was hearing today that Chelsea might be in for a defensive midfielder. Let's hope that happens too. You know, we really need to solidify the middle of that pitch. And of course, we also need somebody that can bang in some goals for us. Of course, Raheem Sterling was a fantastic signing. He's doing that for us, but he needs help, and we're just not getting it in some of the key areas on the pitch. So hopefully that gets addressed within the next 24 hours, and Chelsea could come back out of the window looking a better side than they did going into it. But until then, keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chelsea. Peace.